Well, fans, welcome to another episode of Podcast and Regulation. I'm your host, RP, and today is Wednesday, November 12th. We are looking at our recaps for the Abu Dhabi Championship as well as the Toto Japan. But before we get into that, as always, please don't forget to follow me, like, subscribe, download, all of that at Pod and Regulation on Twitter and Instagram. Podcast and Regulation is the Facebook fan page, and then podcastingregulation@gmail.com if you want to reach me that way. So kind of going through this, you probably noticed that this is a kind of a double posting day. I was not going to let the other one slide, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to remove a lot of the electrical interference on the last podcast episode. So I had to turn it over to a buddy of mine, and I didn't want to put any time constraints on it. I did not know where to start with that. I've been able to mask some of my deficiencies when it comes to editing and mastering and finally publishing episodes, but this one was way more than I could handle. I tried to go through a lot of different channels, YouTubing, Googling it, and I couldn't do it. And when I watched him do it, which he invited me to kind of come along and learn something, I would not have known to break it apart, break it down, and to layer it, and then isolate and remove all that noise that I was coming through. I usually check through segments. Sometimes you guys know I have to pause because someone from Amazon rings the doorbell or something like that, so I edit that part out. But this one was a longer segment before I joined it, and I didn't know that for like 15 minutes this static was just going on. So apologize for that, but kind of as I mentioned, you see the streams, you see the different sites that I post this on, and if you need your fix of what's going to be bet on that week, you always know that that's always going to go up first, even before you hear this. So lesson for me as to what happened. And I don't know if I could do it myself again this time around if it were to happen right now, but I'll definitely be looking out for it, and I at least have a good starting point. So as for the bets this week, we are recapping the Toto Japan, where you saw me not really live bet, but once that had started, that Asia swing was killing me with the time frame and trying to get these things out on time, with my schedule at least. But kind of the live bet just before it started, we really just took three things. The first one was the Ryo Takeda in the 3-ball matchup for 72 holes, which obviously didn't make it there, but it was good enough for them to hold the 54-hole score and have that playoff with Nasa winning it, which was pretty awesome, but pretty disappointing with the weather coming in. That I wasn't expecting that, and it was wreaking havoc on course conditions. Way too soft, wet, kind of standing water throughout the fairway, and just completely unplayable. Not something I think many people saw coming. We were looking at weather leading up to, and there was going to be gusts of wind, maybe some overnight rain, but it turned out to be a lot more. But in that 3-group betting, Ryo Takeda did win. It was a 550. All the bets were 550. Someone else pointed that out, that I forgot to put how much I was betting. I had put the odds on and who we were taking, but all these bets were 550. I pretty much treated it like a first round leader. So Ryo Takeda plus 110. That return was $11.55. Miyu Yamashita placed third, which was really great because Shuri Sakuma ended up fourth, which was a little tighter than I was expecting in terms of finish. But again, another 550 bet, but that was plus 150, so the return there was $13.75. And then the one I did lose, Ayaka, she did place well, but Ji Shin ended up playing even better, so that was a loss. And then on to the Abu Dhabi, Elvis Smiley. There were bits and pieces here that people were mentioning that because I had heard that electrical static, I was kind of flustered, so I was trying to get the picks out in time for everyone to get there, but I did forget some of the odds that I was putting up, and occasionally some of the amounts of units I was putting down as well. But Elvis Smiley did hit. He finishes 32 when we bet on him for a top 40. It was a $16.75 bet at plus 120, so we got back $36.85. Missed out on Ugo Kusad. He was up and down. He looked good from day one, a little bit of day two, and slowly just fell behind, and that was a loss. Had Shane Lowry in the top 20. That was a win, but not as much as I thought, because I thought I put more on it. He was $4.25 for minus 140, so ended up at a $7.29 bet, or return, I should say. And then Bob McIntyre finishes 9th. He was also a top 20 bet. He was minus 200, so kind of to be expected with him and his play this year. $6.25 got us back $9.39, and then we went 1-1 in the top 5 category, where Rory finishes T3. $10.50 bet was plus 160, so got back $27.30. And then we missed out on Ludwig Oberg finishing in top 5. He actually finished 23rd, and he was actually my biggest bet. So unfortunate there, but overall we did win. We had a on the table amount of $99.75. Cashback was $106.13. So we add $6.38 to our bankroll. So we're looking at $12.35 coming into this week. So for this week, we have the Annika for the LPGA Tour, the DP World Tour Championship, which is playoff style, weird format, but I think it's fairly similar to something like the FedEx, where they're pairing similarly. And then the Butterfield Bermuda Championship, which I most likely won't cover because I think I have enough units spread across the first 2 events that I may just leave that one alone. So for the Annika, it's going to be an interesting one when you're looking at correlating groups or correlating courses. One of them that comes up is going to be CME Tour Group Tour Championship, which is at the Tiburon Golf Club, specifically the Gold Course. And it's one of those where a little bit flat, you get lots of undulations on the greens, rolling fairways, but there are going to be some tree-lined holes along with some hazards that kind of play through the course of 10 holes, whether it's water, steep facing bunkers, some of the narrower corners to take where the trees do come into play. And something that you're going to be looking for here is, well, before we get into that, I should mention weather. It's been kind of something that's played a role in the last few weeks, but they're done with their Asia swing, so one, I'll get to watch a lot of what's going on live now because this is a swing down in Florida. And not only that, but you can kind of expect some regular, easier weather. Honestly, it's looking like some gusts of winds as high as 7 miles an hour, but temperatures pretty much right around 70. So you're not going to have to contend with too many obstacles other than what the course is going to be throwing at you. So this Donald Ross Pelican Golf Club is going to be playing as a par 70, 6,349 yards, with 4 par 3s, 12 par 4s, and 2 par 5s. The thing about that is there are going to be a couple, maybe even 3, I have to look at it again, that may be drivable in terms of par 4s, and the par 5s, one of them easily being able to get home. I think the other one is somewhere around 520, so maybe not so much there, but the other one will be looking for kind of a scoring advantage there. And with the layout as it stands and the current makeup of it, you're running at a possible 12.5 on the Stimp. But again, when you're looking for profile of a golfer who will play well here, it's going to be driving distance first, but certainly with a combination of accuracy. So looking at those stats, I kind of flipped at first. I looked at who was most accurate, but still well within the top 50, 60, and then kind of on down to the top 100 of a combination who can drive it really accurately, but also get it down there at the same time. Some names that do come up are not going to be in this tournament, but a few that have or that are going to be in it are going to be people like Brooke Henderson, who's 17th in accuracy, but also 55th in distance. So not too bad there. Results are kind of coming around for her, especially from 3 weeks ago when, I don't know, she just put on a good run and continues to look at another, I'd say, potential top 20. Problem is, I don't know if I can find that anywhere. So far, they're still updating some of the books, but on the main sites that I usually use my accounts on a regular. They're not on there. It's gone back to the top 5, top 10. So we're going to be a little bit short in terms of top finishes. So you may see a bit of a smattering again of 3-ball or first round leaders and first round groups, if anything. One name that I definitely did like from this list is Jennifer Kupcho. The thing about that is you almost have to flip it. If you were to put driving distance first, she's 18th, but accuracy 65th. So there is something there where you couple that with her par 4 scoring. She's T14 in that category. So she very well could take advantage of something like this. There are other names on here, obviously, that will continuously come up, kind of with the same statistical figure and profile, but they won't be participating this week. So that's where we kind of had to narrow down some of who we were going to keep in our faves. I didn't make a list of faves and fades this week because I was too busy looking at some of these statistics that'll be playing more of a role in this because of how it's laid out, and I think the type of player that can actually shoot up the leaderboard in a setup like this. And then to throw a few other names out there, very familiar with Ryo Takeda. She is 38th in driving accuracy and then 34th in driving distance. You couple that with par 4 scoring, where she's number 14, but even better, greens in regulation. I generally look at stats every week and kind of keep up with some of the trends for players, if they're finally turning a corner or if they're getting to a spot where it's a flat spot, but it's a good one where they're continuously finishing in the top 20, 10, and even top 5s. But if you look at greens in regulation for Ryo Takeda, she is far and away the number 1 holder of that title, at least for this year. You look at how many greens she's hit. She's hit 1,414 over the course of 102 rounds. That's pretty ridiculous. Her next closest one is Natalia Guseva at 1,121, and she's played 87 rounds. So obviously the discrepancy in rounds won't necessarily mean that people aren't participating as often. It means more than anything, Ryo Takeda is making that many cuts and is giving herself more and more opportunities to hit greens in regulation. The next one behind her that was kind of interesting was a percentage, and it was Heiran Ryu. She's at 76.98, and that's well behind the first two of Guseva and Takeda. She has 970 greens in regulation. So the combination of just those alone, where you're looking at driving distance and par 4 scoring, you're going to have so many chances on a course like this for a player along those lines. Same thing with Somi Lee. Somi Lee is currently sitting at 24th in driving accuracy and 65th in driving distance. And then you look at greens in regulation, she's 8th. So, if you want to add that too, she's also 5th overall in par 4 scoring. So big stats there, where those are going to be a majority of where you are going to score, and the number of opportunities you're going to have to actually take advantage of those types of stats. These are the players I'm probably going to be relying on for top finishes, and including some of the 3-ball, where you know that they're going to be head and shoulders above the 2 or 3, or if you're doing group betting, the other 4 players that are going to be grouped in with them, and that they're kind of going to run away with this, especially if you can get them on just round 1. I think they'll be just fine and can hold up their end of your bet for you. If I'm going to take anyone else to kind of throw into a mix, actually it's not just one, it's probably 2. It's Shizato Iwai. We all know and watch these sisters just go. 36th in driving accuracy, 74th in driving distance, but 18th in putting, 10th in par 4 scoring. The only deficiency, if you want to call it that, is she's 56th in greens in regulation. So accuracy may play a part there, especially like I mentioned earlier, if you are trying to miss on the right side, or at least give yourself a chance of just hitting the middle of the green and going from there. I don't know how that'll translate, but overall, the other numbers should support any sort of shortcomings she has in that category. And considering the way she's playing right now, along with Aki, I don't imagine her not placing in the top 10. So hint, hint, there's probably one of my bets right there. This other familiar name is going to be Hae-Jin Choi. She is, I believe she's number 1 overall, because she's 27th in accuracy, 58th in driving distance. So that was probably one of the lower combinations you'll see, as well as Hae-Ran Ryu. Actually, I think Hae-Ran Ryu might be number 1. So excuse me for that one. But Hae-Jin Choi also shows up in the par 4 scoring. She's number 2 overall. So without even looking at putting or around the greens, even greens in regulation, there's just the whole season for Hae-Jin Choi has been up and down, but in a good way. The highs are awesome and the lows are really not that bad. Bad for her standards, but someone that I feel like you can probably lean on and put some cash on this week and feel pretty comfortable that you're going to get a decent return. If you are composing a lineup for DFS, you got 2 names that probably can save you some money and most likely could make the cut and continue to help you build points throughout the weekend. We got Kaylee McGinty. She is 42nd and 53rd respectively with driving accuracy and distance. A little bit on the wild side when it comes to putting and around the greens, but greens in regulation also fairly okay. I think she was 93rd in ranking. So somebody to save money if you're going to look to build a lineup. And then if you're pretty much using all your money towards the front end, towards the bigger name players, someone you've seen quite a bit on the leaderboard, around the leaderboard, kind of lingering, has been Manon Deroy. And again, looking at the inverse where your driving distance is first and driving accuracy second, she is 24th and 63rd. And her finishes, she's currently on a six event streak of making cuts. So it's kind of sprinkled throughout. You got some top 50s, top 30s, and a couple top 20s. So somebody to keep an eye on if, again, you're going to be using a lot of your money towards that front end of your lineup. But those two certainly could help you balance out some of that salary cap and still be the players to find kind of on that lower end to make it into the weekend where you have your entire lineup intact. So final breakdown here for the Annika, kind of finalizing it as I go. We're going to go top 10. It's going to be select 3 here. We'll go Nelly Korda minus 125, Hae-Jin Choi plus 130, and Somi Lee at plus 250. Then we'll go top 5s with Shizato Iwai at plus 200, Jennifer Kupcho at plus 1100, and Alim Kim at plus 420. Then the group betting, or at least some of the 72-hole matches that caught my eye, I'm looking at a tie between Nelly and Miyu Yamashita, plus 1600 as always. It's kind of standard there, but I think they're both going to play well. I think that they don't win, but they kind of hover around that T4 and 5 range. And then same deal, 72-hole match. Lynn Grant is minus 115 versus Ina Yoon, who I think will play well also. I'm looking at Yoon. I'm not betting on her, but if I were to guess, she's probably going to end up in the top 15, which unfortunately can't bet on. But Lynn Grant probably ends up in that 11 to maybe even cracking the top 10 range, especially based on the stats that I was looking at earlier. I didn't mention her, but overall, just a good solid year. Probably not as good as she was hoping for, but when you're looking at the statistics, pretty solid, and I have no problem backing her here at this spot. And then the last bit of bets here for the Annika, it's going to be first round leaders. I'll just kind of rattle them off here. Miyu Yamashita at plus 1600, Akie Iwai at plus 2800, Somi Lee at plus 3,000, Shizato Iwai at plus 3,000, Minami Katsu at plus 3,500, and then Hae-Ran Ryu at plus 3,500. So that'll do it for the LPGA side of it. Let's jump into the DP World Tour. I'm not going to go in depth with where they're playing, what it's going to take to win, and all the other stats there. We're just going to look at a lot of these lineups and some of these round betting. So without going into the depths of stats and course correlation, all that, we'll just start thinking our picks. So starting off with the top 20 finishes. Actually, there's only one person. I'm taking Shane Lowry. It's minus 240, so not the greatest of odds, but I feel like that's a fairly safe bet, especially if I load up on it. And then the rest, honestly, it might sound like a little bit of a broken record. Top 10s, I'm going with Robert McIntyre at minus 120, Ludwig Oberg at minus 125, and then to round out finishing places, I have Aaron Rai and Tommy Fleetwood both finishing in the top 5s at plus 320 and plus 115 respectively. And then a couple prop-ish type of bets. We have the top Asian performer Keita Nakajima at minus 150. We have the top Aussie being Kazuma Kobori at plus 400, who he's had a few encouraging results over the last few weeks, maybe even over the last month and a half, but hoping we catch a little bit of lightning in a bottle there. Top American, I'm going Michael Kim plus 125. He is in a dead heat in terms of odds with Patrick Reed, but I think he may have a little bit of an edge here. And then I'm going round one winner, Dan Hellier at minus 110 versus Hao Tong Lee. So that's it. That's all I got for you this week. And with all those bets, along with all the ones from LPGA, I definitely am going to stay away from the Barracuda. Keep it in mind when you are looking through any of the social media streams that I may live bet it, but these are pretty much going to be the set ones that I'm going to be keeping an eye on over the course of the weekend. So appreciate it. Again, guys, thanks for joining me for the episode. I know this week is a double header with you having to listen to last week to keep up with a lot of the stats that I'm keeping for myself as well as the bankroll. So take a listen to that. Hey, subscribe, download, tell your friends about this. Again, not a professional bettor, but hopefully you're winning money with me. If not, hopefully you're winning money fading me. But either way, good luck this weekend. Again, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at PodInRegulation. The email is podcastinregulation@gmail.com. And find me on the Facebook fan page, Podcast in Regulation. Guys, I'm RP, and I will see you next week. Later.